Would you make of that? They were pretty dominant in midfield, the Blues.
Yeah, they were. They were much better than us. I feel pretty flat, to be honest, about our performance. Look, obviously New South Wales were much better than us, so I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think the flatness comes from how we hurt ourselves. Very ill discipline in the first half, and then that just snowballed against us, and we didn't see the best of this Queensland team tonight, and that's what I'm most disappointed about.
Billy, normally up here you jump out and you're vibrant, excited, the crowd's big, but just seem to be a bit like your personality, I guess. A bit flat the whole game. Is that fair?
Yeah, it doesn't just happen. You've got to make it happen, and we weren't prepared to make it happen, the tough way tonight. So too many leg ups, too many penalties, a few errors, and that part of the game, New South Wales did better than us. It's pretty simple. If you don't have the footy, you make it really tough on yourself. I can't question, you know, the effort and the commitment that the team have. You know, it's a tough game out there. It's not easy to play that sort of game, and they kept hanging in there and kept turning up for each other, and but we just made it way too hard for ourselves.
What about your attack? Really disappointing with it, or do you think it was a byproduct of just the pressure?
Bit of both. Yeah, bit of both. Disappointed that we couldn't get what we practiced on enough, and at the same time, it's a byproduct of, you know, not having the footy and being fatigued and under a bit of pressure. So yeah, a bit of both.
What do you put it down to, Billy? Like, can you explain why it happened? Because look, you wouldn't have thought you'd play like this tonight.
Yeah.
But how do you see the whys of
Yeah,
what
no, I
happened?
can't right now, Joel. That's probably something for the review and looking through the tape and obviously sitting down with the group. That's, you know, at the end of the day, it's got to come from the players.
Do you look to make changes again too?
Sorry?
Do you look to make changes again too?
Oh, that sort of stuff. You know, like every game, you know, you sit down and you review it and you go and take a breath and you let the players go back and play footy. You know, they've got a couple of games over the next week and a half, and that's not a decision or probably a conversation for now.
Billy, how disappointed are you by the back-to-back losses at Suncorp in the nature of them, and 1 try in 2 games?
Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good stat, and yeah, that's probably just as disappointing as the performance tonight.
It's a personnel thing, Billy, with your forward pack. What I mean by that is the makeup that you've got of that with the bench as well.
Yeah.
Just being completely outmuscled with the Blues, or is it an attitude thing when you're out there?
To be honest, I don't actually think it's either. I definitely don't think it's a personnel thing. Like, I know what this team's capable of, and that's why you can probably see I'm disappointed, because they haven't played their best footy, and I feel responsible to try and help them get there. So yeah, it's definitely not a personnel thing. To be honest, they've had a great attitude as well, but to the discipline side of the game, the attitude wasn't good enough. No.
What about Robert Toyer? Billy, it was a bit of a bright spot. What did you make of his debut tonight? Yeah, really good, really good. I actually expected him to play like that. He's it's been a pleasure to get to know him over the last week and a half. He's a great young man, really humble and respectful. He values the parts of the game that are not brilliant. But that's why he's in this position, and I thought his debut was great, so he can hold his head up high.
Daly, as a halfback, what do you make of the attack the last 2 games?
Yeah, I think disappointing's the best word to explain it. So, especially where we've played the last 2 games, to only walk away with 1 try, there's a bit of work to do there.
Billy, halfway through that second half, you seemed almost to be in the game there.
Yeah.
How close do you feel the team was, and what were you thinking about that time, about 15 minutes into that second half?
Close enough on the scoreboard, but not close enough in terms of the way that we were playing. Like there was still game on at half time, but we needed to change things, and we didn't change them enough. So yeah, it might look close, but in terms of how close were we to play our best footy, we were nowhere near it.
Billy, what was the go with Tino? He just seemed really emotional pre-game, like a bit teary-eyed after the anthem and just before kick-off. Was there anything sort of more to that?
No, not that I know of. Tino hasn't played State of Origin, you know, for 2 years. He missed last year's series, and obviously missed the whole heap of footy last year. And one thing I do know about Tino is I know this means a whole heap to him, and sometimes you can't hold that back. So maybe that was something to do with it.
Billy, it's obviously the early injuries that came out of that one, do you know it?
No, I've spoken to the players, but yeah, maybe a few bumps and bruises. No one looked to have any serious injuries, but I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Billy, what did you make of the decision on the stroke of half time with the sin binning? Did you think it sat right with the situation there, that was handled correctly, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was about right. Don't we all? Like, it was either a penalty try or a sin bin. So the fact that Xavier didn't probably take clean possession probably weighed towards a sin bin rather than penalty try. Yeah, I've no concerns about that.
So are you hoping that Billy shows faith in you and that you as captain can turn this around?
Yeah, definitely. I guess with losing comes the question, so we've opened ourselves up to these sorts of questions, but yeah, I'd love the opportunity to come back and correct it.
Billy, what's it going to take to win in Perth?
Yeah, probably some decisions from the playing group. No, I've just spoken about the discipline side of the game, and that's a choice. So, yeah, probably a shift in that to start with, and you know, I'll look at my preparation as well. So, you know, I'm not out of this. It's not just the players; it's everyone, and we'll all look at ourselves. And I know there's so much more in this footy team. So, it's a series of three, best of three. You know, you only got to win 2 games, and that's still alive. So we'll be going after it.
Happy with the refereeing, Bill?
Yeah, I haven't got a problem with the refereeing.
Daly, just on the attack, and, you know, where do you think you can turn that around coming into the next game? Like, where do you think you can get those points from?
As Bill sort of mentioned, when you're real disciplined, you put yourself under a lot of pressure. So we gave them a lot of possession, we missed a lot of tackles, and then we put ourselves under scoreboard pressure. So you know, starting next game with better discipline is definitely going to help us.
Jeremiah Noah is probably your best attacking weapon. Must be impressed with how he's turned his season around.
Yeah, no, he's playing well. You know, back there on that right-hand side, which is probably his favourite side to play. He's a wonderful player, and showed real commitment tonight. You know, chased plenty of high balls, made some really crucial tackles. So, yeah, I thought he was good.
It was particularly uncharacteristic performance from Harry Grant, I thought, especially in that first half. What did you sort of make of that? Any reason behind it? He hasn't played a lot of footy lately, but...
that might have something to do with it. Yeah, like many of our players, you know, Harry wasn't at his best tonight, unfortunately, and but he wasn't on his own. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
think relief. It was a brave performance, but no. Well, look, anytime you come to Queensland and win, you're going to be happy. So, extremely happy.
You powered through the middle.
Yeah, it was sort of one of those games, like it was a slow ruck, so you had to go forward. You couldn't move the ball, so you just had to run hard.
How pleased were you with the way that right edge attacked?
Sorry, mate?
How pleased were you with the way the right edge attacked?
Yeah, I was happy with aspects of our game. Like it was just, it was hard to get things on. Their line speed was exceptional, very good. And they controlled the ruck really well. So we've got areas that we can be better at.
You said the other day that you're preparing to lead them in for the first time, but you're the first one that was going to get booed. How did that feel, leading them off the park after that ambush?
Yeah, it was certainly good. It was. I was going to touch on this awe about it, but really there's no better place to play, I don't think. Like, as much as it calls our home stadium, but you get 50,000 here, the whole joint's rocking, feels like it's on top of you. So, like any time you can play up here is special. Playing this arena is special for your state, but then being able to lead it was, it was a really proud week. Certainly don't take it for granted for sure, but certainly just tried to just be myself throughout the whole thing. But it was nice to come up here and particularly seeing how much we put into the whole week, the sort of conversations we had behind the scenes, the preparation. It wasn't perfect, but I just felt like we handled it really well. And then to come up here, and I thought our first half was exceptional. So the second half still probably a little bit to work on. Probably took us a little bit too long to correct ourselves in certain areas. That's what happens in Origin football. The swings of momentum, and they could certainly feel it too when the tide had turned. So it's some really big plays at big moments, and then we'll probably get confidence out of that as well.
We did some calls rare, particularly to do it in an opener. Like, how far can your team go now from here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. All I know is we do a really good job as a group of just sort of internalising it and just worrying about sort of the week ahead. So I felt like we did that throughout the whole week. We weren't worried too much about the Wednesday. We just wanted to make sure every session was really good, and I felt like we did that. I felt like we got better as the week went on with our sessions. It was obviously nice to come up here too because the weather was a bit better. We were under the pump there at Lura for a couple of days, but I'm just really proud of how they it was just process driven, and you sort of get out in this environment, get out in the field today, and I was really pleased with the start. So and that's a big part. It's a big part in this arena. The start's important for both teams, and I felt like we handled that well tonight.
Laurie, can you tell us a little bit about, now that the game is won, how worried you were about Stephen Crichton? He certainly didn't look like he was struggling out there at all.
Yeah, he was in doubt. Yeah, he was in doubt. It was a pretty bad cork, but our physios did an amazing job all week with Payne and Critter, because Payne's injury, we weren't sure with that either. But they were patient with him. Like Payne, I think, probably had not even half a session, a quarter of a session on the Monday, and we did nothing on the Tuesday, so he hadn't really trained, and then to push out the minutes and be strong the way he was great. Yeah. Critter was fantastic, and I think the word they said to me, Critter's right to go, because he said, I asked him this morning how was he, and he said he was mad. So that's obviously good. That works. Yeah.
Laurie, the man outside Zach Lomax, he continues to stamp his authority on State of Origin, I guess. How did you sum up his performance tonight? Yeah,
he was great, and we needed him to be, in particular at the back of the field. He and Brian, they did a fantastic job. They're coming off limited games too, so could have been underdone, but they just pushed and made the blue jersey proud, which is what we wanted them to do.
Yeah, you've won in Brisbane now. Games in Perth and Sydney ahead. Does that change the way the players are thinking at all? The fact that you've already won here in Queensland?
No, I'd hope not. I'd like to think we get confidence out of it. I think any time you win in this arena, you should get confidence out of that. But games 2 and 3, you got another week together, another week to prepare. I feel like the games are better as well. There's probably a bit more thrown at you in games 2 and 3. But yeah, we've touched on. There's areas in our game that we can get better at, which is exciting. You obviously don't want to go and play the perfect footy and sort of have nothing to fall back on. Whereas, obviously, really happy with aspects, but then there's areas that we can be a lot better. So, I'd like to think we take some confidence out of it, but it's a long way to go. So, the 2 weeks in between, obviously, boys playing NRL. and obviously trying to get through that unscathed. But yeah, there's a while between the next game, so yeah, certainly not sort of focusing on that, and still a bit to go yet.
Laurie, what did you make of Nathan and Mitchell and the halves together?
Yeah, I thought they were great. Yeah, and again, first time they've played together. It's difficult when you bring new people together. But no, I thought they were terrific. I thought Nath really threatened with the ball. Mitch was good. Defensively, they were both strong. That's a underrated part of their game as well. Just for little blokes to just get in front and make the tackle on big blokes is pretty impressive.
You're going to have a goal kick-off next week?
Sorry?
You're going to have a goal kick-off next camp?
Yeah, his job to get Nath kicking.
Well, it'd be nice if we jagged a couple more.
Yeah.
But,
Well, it's a good day to have off, isn't it? Good day to have off. But knowing, I don't know Nath that well because I haven't worked with him. But just to see the way that he prepares, I know it'd be burning him, and I know that he won't be like that again. So but he'll do whatever it takes to. Yeah, he'll be right.
Laurie Payne was a machine.
I don't. Yeah, for a big bloke, limited prep, like a 10-day prep with hardly any running, because we had to make sure that he was right. To jump out of the ground and do what he did was inspirational, actually.
Laurie, you mentioned at the start about ruck speed, how slowed down. And you got a team with a lot of strike out wide. Were you comfortable with the way it was officiated and heading into game 2? Would that be a concern of yours?
Oh, not a concern. They were just better than we were. They were really good at it. So we're going to be better. We found it difficult because their forwards were getting into us, and they were winning the ruck, and it was hard. But that was credit to them. And
just before half time, so turn the momentum a little bit with Brian going to the sin bin. Did you have thoughts on that?
Look, I think he went up to contest, and then obviously, in a split second, he's had his hand on his shoulder. If you slow anything down, you can turn it into whatever you want. But that's the challenge you face when you come here. And our blokes were really good at half time about it. We handled it okay. Could have handled it a bit better. There were aspects of the second half that we'll be better at. It is what it was.
What about for you being back here? I guess Cameron went to you a few times. You sort of riding the emotion and the high. What was it like for you being back in this arena after such a long break?
Oh, it was great. Just working with Yowie and the team. I mean, they do all the work. And for me in particular, it's great to have a great assistant coaches. We've got great management. The players really drive and buy into everything that we do. But it's only camp 1, so we'll see what they're like when they bounce into game 2. Because one thing I know about Origin is there's always a response. You hit in the face, there's a response next game.
Do you recognise the game's changed at all since you've been in this arena before?
In what way?
I don't know. What did you make of it?
You're asking the question. I don't know.
Has it changed at all?
No, there's different rules. It's faster. Blokes still have to tackle, blokes still have to run, blokes still have to have courage.
Thoughts on Max King tonight?
Great. I thought he was terrific. A guy that debut coming off the bench. He's a talker. Maxie. He chews your ear off, but he's a good bloke. He's a really good bloke.
Well, you obviously went into the game with a couple of injury clouds. Any injuries that you know of to come out of that match?
Nothing too serious. I think you got to wait till tomorrow, but I don't think there's anything too serious. There might be. Well, there's bumps and bruises, obviously, but in terms of this weekend, then I don't know. I can't give you an exact answer on that. Thank you.
Thank you.